President Kennedy, 1961 to 63. What do we need to know in this particular presentation? Kennedy's early years and his advisors, the how and why Kennedy became more involved in Vietnam, and do Kennedy's policies suggest that he would get America out of Vietnam? Since the death of Kennedy, one of the major questions about his presidency has been about his commitment to the struggle against communism in South Vietnam. Robert McNamara and his memoirs, between the 24th of August and 22nd of November 1963. Three important events occurred in this period: the overthrow and assassination of South Vietnam's President, Diem, President Kennedy's decision on October the 2nd to begin withdrawal of US troops, and Kennedy's assassination 50 days later. Did President Kennedy seriously wish to withdraw from Vietnam? In this task, you are going to read through the evidence for and against the arguments of withdrawal by Kennedy and therefore come to a conclusion. On one side of your paper, write the title Evidence for Withdrawal of Troops by Kennedy, and on the other side of the title, write down evidence against the withdrawal of troops by Kennedy. As you read through the information, make notes on the evidence that support each argument. The key evidence then for Kennedy planning for a withdrawal. From April 1963, Kennedy and his administration recognized the war against the insurgency was going badly. Congress was becoming increasingly reluctant to support Diem. In May 1963, at the Honolulu Conference, Kennedy and his National Security Advisor, George Bundy, with McNamara and Maxwell Taylor, began to plan a phased withdrawal of US troops. The first phase withdrawal was due to be completed by December 1963. By the decision of NASM 273, fighting was to be passed over to the South Vietnamese Army. General Harkins was directed to draw up a comprehensive plan for South Vietnam designed to ensure that the military strength of the Republic of Vietnam was able to defend itself against its enemies. The Americans would offer to build up additional hardware and equipment. And by October 1963, the Taylor and McNamara report was initially optimistic about the abilities of the South Vietnamese army to contain the insurgency. Evidence against the withdrawal. There is continuity between Kennedy and Johnson's policies upon the accession of Johnson to the presidency to suggest that Kennedy wasn't planning on getting out. He certainly didn't have any intentions of getting out until after the subsequent election in November 1964. It would have been in Kennedy's interest to delay any form of withdrawal from Vietnam until after these elections. General Lodge was sanctioned to get rid of Diem, suggesting that the US weren't planning about getting out and abandoning any new president, just Diem. Kennedy commented, "We have a responsibility to help this new government to be effective on every way that we can, and in these first few weeks we must have more influence." In his last press conference, he expressed the view that the recent coup would lead to an increased war effort in Vietnam. Evidence from Hanoi suggests that the communists were increasing their commitment, and it therefore appears in North Vietnam there was no perceived change in Kennedy's foreign policy goals. Therefore, did President Kennedy seriously wish to withdraw from Vietnam?